Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be another discussion video. The topic at hand, the original Crash Bash character roster. If you're new to the channel, I release Crash Bandicoot content every weekend, usually on Saturdays, sometimes on Sundays. I discuss lore, theories, plot holes, Crash Bandicoot news, some reviews, and occasionally I'll cover some Spyro content, maybe some Super Mario stuff. But for the most part, this channel is mostly Crash Bandicoot. So if that sounds like something you might be interested in, maybe consider subscribing. With all that said, let's just jump into the topic at hand. Crash Bash character roster. So if you look at the screen, this was the original roster from Crash Bash. But prior to the game's release, it looked kinda different. So more information has just been discovered, and I'm going to share it with you. So the new character that I'm going to be talking about was originally introduced to us through this video. I'm going to link it in the description. The user is 9Matt2. And he interviewed John Williams, who worked on Crash Bash. So the new character is a kangaroo female. Her name was Kanga-Soo, and she was cut late in development because Mark Cerny didn't think it would be a good idea to have our characters hitting a female, despite the fact that Coco is a female and she is getting hit. So the reason I say late in development is because if you go back in time and go to E3 in 2000, you will see that the characters that were playable are Crash, Coco, Brio, Cortex, Tiny, and Dingodile. So at that point in time, there was only 6 playable characters. It wasn't disclosed in the interview whether she would have been on the good side or the bad side, but based off of her appearance here, I would have to say that I think she would have been on the good side. She has a smile, her colors are bright, and overall she just looks cutesy, like she would have been on the good side. So I'm going to show you the character roster and then what I think it was going to be. So this is the original character roster, and this is what I think it would have been had Kanga-Soo actually became a character. I believe that Koala Kong still would have been introduced to be a parallel to Tiny's strength character. The reason I believe this is because the image I showed you earlier with the 6 characters that were available, there was no Koala Kong and there was no Rillaroo. So if they were going to add 2 new characters, most likely it would have been to the hero side. Whether Koala Kong would have been taken from the evil side, or if they decided to build off his lore from the epilogue of Crash Bandicoot 1 where he just went off to become a movie star. It's unclear, but I'm pretty confident in saying that I believe this would have been the character roster. So you have Crash and Coco, and then you have Cortex and Brio, so they're the mains. Then you have Koala Kong and Tiny as the brute characters, the strength guys, and then you have the tail spinners, which would be Kanga-Soo and Dingodile. Now this is where we get into the discussion as whether or not I think it would have been good to introduce Kanga-Soo. Personally, if you're familiar with my content, I am very heavy into lore. I like when things are explained. I like when there's history to a character and they're well developed. So plopping Kanga-Soo into the hero side would have felt very awkward to me. We'd already had 4 games in the franchise: Crash Bandicoot, Crash Bandicoot 2 Cortex Strikes Back, Crash Bandicoot Warped, and CTR, and Kanga-Soo was in none of those games. We've seen Crash and Coco do heroic things and save the world many times, but Kanga-Soo has never appeared, and it would have felt very lazy to just drop a new hero character in that we have no idea who she is. Lazy in the sense of we know Crash and Coco's heroic backstories, but Kanga-Soo would have had none. And of course I'm basing that entirely on the final project that we got, the final product rather, where Rillaru just appeared out of nowhere with no backstory whatsoever. And we all just assume he was created by Dr. Cortex or Dr. Brio because it makes the most sense. Lore-wise, they didn't give us any information on him. So I think it's easier to accept a new villain being brought in than it would be for a new hero to be brought in. But that's just my opinion. And that's pretty much all of my thoughts on Kanga-Soo. So a little recap is, this was the original Crash Bash character roster in the released product. And this is what I believe it would have originally been before Mark Cerny decided that Kanga-Soo wasn't a good idea. So let me know in the comments section if this is your first time hearing of Kanga-Soo, if you liked the idea of Kanga-Soo, if you thought Kanga-Soo was on the good side or the evil side, anything and everything Kanga-Soo related, just put it in the comment section, guys. With all that said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care. Have a good night.